Stop waiting, stop preparing, and start acting. This is a concept that I've been focused on for a number of years after I saw that I was holding on to a habit that I think a lot of us are probably holding on to. A few years ago, I decided that I wanted to write more. I wanted to keep a journal of what my thoughts were so I could record what was happening in my life, what my dreams, what my visions were. I also wanted to write more so that I could put things out into the world. And when I made this decision, my first step is one that I think a lot of us take, and it was really telling for me about a habit that I have that I needed to break. So I decided that I wanted to write more. And my first step upon deciding this was to tell myself that I really wanted to have a great place to store my ideas. I needed to have a really great notebook. And so I went online, I went on Amazon, and I looked for a notebook. I searched around until I found one that I was really happy with, and I added it to my cart. In addition to that, I also said, I really want to have a nice pen, something that feels good while I use it, while I express my ideas into the world. And so I went around and I found a pen that I really liked as well, and I added that to my shopping cart. When I was done ordering those two things, my notebook and my pen, I closed my computer and I sat there for a minute. But as I sat there, I started to think about my goal of writing, and something dawned on me. I realized in that moment that I was no closer to becoming a writer than I had been a few minutes before that. I was no closer to expressing my ideas. I hadn't written a single word on a piece of paper anywhere. And in fact, the action that I had taken wasn't necessary at all. You see, I already had notebooks. I already had pens. I already had much of what I needed to begin. But I was telling myself that if I did this extra step of preparation, that in some way that would open the gateway for me to begin doing what I actually wanted to do. So I reflected on this for a while, and I realized that this habit is something that a lot of us have. It's something that a lot of us live with. This concept where instead of actually doing the thing that we want to do, we replace action with preparation. In some way or another, we are waiting for the right conditions to exist, for all of the pieces to be in place, for us to begin doing the thing that we've envisioned. And instead of putting in the effort to produce the direct outcome with what we have in front of us, we go about this roundabout method of doing what's ultimately easier. The easier thing is to go purchase something. The easier thing is to get hung up on some sort of small detail. The harder thing is to do the direct action that it is that's in alignment with what your goal is. So I started to think about this concept of preparation and waiting instead of action. And I started to look around at our society and look at different examples of this appearing in my own life. And I didn't have to look very far. There's a woman that I've known for years who I always talk to about business. And she has told me for years that she really wants to start her own business. And she has tons of experience in a lot of different aspects of business, both financially as well as in running different portions of an organization. But as she thinks about what she wants to put out into the world, she gets hung up on one part of the vision every single time. Her ideas are fantastic, but she gets hung up on choosing a name for whatever business or service it is that she wants to put out into the world. As I say that to you, it seems so small, right? It seems like a small thing to get tripped up on. But the reality is there are little things like that we are allowing to stop us from progressing towards our dream over and over. We are waiting for some magical inspiration, some perfect alignment of the stars in the universe in order to move towards what it is that we want to move towards. And the reality is that very rarely does that situation happen. Very rarely does the universe align everything for us so that the gravitational pull of all the celestial bodies magically bring us forward into the place that we want to be. Most often what happens is that when we want to accomplish something in life, we have to be the first ones to put in the effort. We have to actually go directly to the core action and complete it. So in my case of writing, the thing that would have brought me closer to being someone who writes would have been to actually grab a notebook, grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, grab a pen, regardless of what it was, and begin writing. I think that this is a useful message for anyone who's trying to accomplish things in life. We can look at our actions, we can look at our activities, and we can wonder whether we have replaced action with preparation. Whether we've told ourselves that there is some set of things that we have to do first in order to get to where we want to, that we don't actually have to do. We can ask ourselves this when we're thinking about starting a business. We can ask ourselves this when we're thinking about getting in shape. Are we telling ourselves that we need some sort of gym membership, or we need the right equipment, or maybe we need the right occasion, or we need the right conditions at our workplace in order to begin working out? And if we are telling ourselves that, is that true? Is it true that we really need those things? Or can we go outside and go for a run, go for a jog for a few minutes today? We can ask ourselves this when it comes to wanting to be a writer. Do we need the fancy device to record our thoughts in verbal form before we transcribe them? Do we need that perfect notebook and that perfect pen? Or can we begin to write whatever it is that we're dreaming of right now and actually begin to improve our craft? We can ask ourselves this in so many areas of life. And so my message for you today is to ask yourself that question. Where are you preparing instead of acting? Where are you waiting for the right conditions to exist for you to carry out the thing that you really want to carry out? And how can you shift so that you're no longer waiting, but that you're acting instead? All right, that's my message for today. Look for that around you wherever you can, and let me know in the comments below if there's something that you've identified in yourself, some sort of habit or some sort of thing that you're letting keep you from actually accomplishing what you want to accomplish. All right, I'll talk to you soon.